So one of the glaring things in this box score with the Houston Rockets is the fact that they only had three players in double figures. And when you look at the production from James Harden and Eric Gordon, that's where you want to see it. But you have two starters that combined for just 4 points. That seems to be alarming, especially when you consider PJ Tucker and what he's supposed to provide in open shots, like you said, in the corner. And Clint Capella, who's normally a big part of this offense. I mean, there's time periods in which he goes on runs of double-doubles in game after game. So you want to see more production from those two, right, going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're going to see more production from those guys because, when you go back to it, the things that we're talking about, they're going to have to revisit, in real time on the film and in film study and see the adjustments that they can make. And I think PJ Tucker, the reason why he's in this league and been in this league for so long, because he's a competitor. So he's going to make the necessary adjustments.
Fish, season low 26 rebounds for the Houston Rockets. I mean, this is not the time of the year where you want to see anything that says season low next to it. And Clint Capella, just 6 rebounds. He's kind of the guy that they lean on for that category, right?
For sure. But when you're playing against arguably the best shooting basketball team in the league, there are not going to be as many misses as normal. In addition to it being a lower possession game, due to the Rockets' pace that they like to play, which is a slower pace. So around 74, 75 field goal attempts for the entire game is a low number. So not as many rebounds available. So the Rockets are in a tough position. If you get the pace up into 85, 90 field goals attempted, which the Warriors would have done without their 20 turnovers, now you start to get in trouble playing at a faster pace that's going to benefit the Warriors. So statistically, the rebounds and the points by other guys may not add up to what we think it should be. But primarily, it's just timely breakdowns defensively, like Chris Paul mentioned, just making sure that in the switches and in situations that they tighten that up. But statistically, the stat sheet may not always explain who should or shouldn't have scored.
Yeah, and I think at some point you probably want to tamper with the fact that Kenneth Reed didn't play. You know what I mean? So you probably want to throw him out there at some point because I feel like he's the type of guy that can muck up a game. You know what I mean? Like with his energy and his presence, on the defensive end of the floor and then his activity on the offensive end where he lives around the basket.
And that seems odd in a sense because he has been playing well for them. So he's a guy that you think could be an X factor in this series?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Capella and you say, okay, he didn't have that many rebounds. Well, where would you go next, with the success that he has had, being preserved in Brooklyn, and then now he comes over and then he has some great games and performances on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. Throw him a bone, give him an opportunity to have his, fingerprints on the series.
For the Warriors, they're not as deep as their teams in the past either. I mean, they went with the Hampton 5 starting lineup, and all of those guys scored 13 or more, but they had to rely on that unit for most of the game.
They really did, and it seems odd to say. It's not that the players coming off of the bench like Sean Livingston are not good players. Alfonso McKinney's been a really good player. Quinn Cook has played great minutes. So it's not that those guys can't play. But on a nightly basis, the Warriors most times are relying on those 5 guys that all started the game today. So it'll be interesting to see with a 36-hour turnaround from finishing off the Clippers series to today, and then a quick turnaround to game 2 where you have, 3 guys basically play 40 minutes today. We'll see if the Warriors can bring energy and intensity in game 2 that will sustain them and really get them over the hump into maybe a 2-0 start to this series, because it can be interesting as the series goes on without a lot of depth.
And Karan, break that down for us in the sense, if you're an NBA player, let's say you're used to playing 32 minutes a night, then all of a sudden you play 41 or 42. What does that do for your body as far as recovery and trying to get ready for your next game within 48 hours?
Well, I think, with recovery standpoint, it's a lot of pounding on your body. It's a lot of mileage, but, they do a remarkable job when you're talking about the medical staff and the coaches and understanding that, look, this guy just played this. All right, let's just do a little walkthrough. We're not going to, enhance on the wear and tear situation. Look, we need you to watch a little film, but understand this is the adjustment that we're going to make. So take a mental note of that. And then, your activity is mostly preserved for when it's game time.
if you're the Golden State Warriors and you're looking at your 20 turnovers, and that's probably the thing that you're staring at, how do you suppose they fix that for Game 2?
Well, I think having a feel again for playing against the Rockets, which is completely different than playing against the Clippers, that will help. Also, a quick turnaround, ankle injuries for Curry and Thompson, a 12:30 tip-off, which means no shoot-around.
Great point.
So a lot of things that, when this game started today, they were not ready to go. So it'll be interesting to see if Tuesday night they're actually sharper and better, assuming that they have the energy after a couple guys playing big minutes on short notice.
Well, we seem to have a bit of time here as we're waiting for the Golden State Warriors to take the podium and hear from them. Let's talk about legacy for a second and Kevin Durant. And now that we're seeing what he's doing in these last 5 games, we know he's back-to-back finals MVPs and they've won back-to-back titles. But it still seems like there's a sense of, okay, he's talented, and, well, this team would have probably won it without him. What do you make of those comments and those thought processes?
Man, I don't think there's enough time for us to go all the way
I'd like to hear what you have to say,
I
champion.
like it.
But yeah, no, I just think it's hate, honestly, and that sometimes it's just the world that we live in. It's a cynical place in the world in general and in the basketball world at times. In other sports and in other professions, we don't get caught up in being mad if great people decide to work together to do something special. Even football, for example, baseball. We don't mind teams putting together great pitching, great hitting, great base running, great general manager, like the best of everything, because that's what you're supposed to do to try to be the best. We also take for granted how hard each of these guys, Durant, Thompson, Curry, Draymond, have worked to become who they are. And we like to just say, this is all about talented people getting in the same room. Well, there are a lot of talented teams and companies that have not been the best in the world, even though they have the talent to do it.
I believe the term is, now I know how it feels to be a Laker, right? Because of the championships and the pressure that comes with that. Kevin Durant knows what that feels like now.
To compare, I just each stop along the journey has been, I don't know, it's just been tailor-made for the moment, I guess, Been learning a lot so far as a player up until this point. So I think I'm starting to put everything together out there on both sides of the ball. And I'm not looking at points or shots that I get up. It's just how focused I am at each possession.
Third row, left-hand side.
Kevin, Dan Wyke with the Los Angeles Times. Stylistically, the Warriors, it seems like you guys are at your best when the ball moves and zips and all of that stuff, and there's a real flow to the game. Do you guys at this point with the Rockets just know that's not what it's going to look like because of the fouls and the way they play, and how comfortable are you in that style?
I think I disagree with you. I think we're better as a team when we focus on defense. Offense, we kind of play real unpredictable, and we don't have a set way we're going to play. We just try to move the ball and find cracks and openings. But if we're on the defense side of the ball, if we're locked in, if we're all on one string, I think that's when we go to another level as a team.
Front row, right-hand side.
Monty Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area. Kevin, what are the things you liked about this game and maybe some things that you didn't like so much about this game? Just your general impressions.
I liked everything about the game. It was a fun game. From top to bottom, each player that stepped on the floor brought it, brought that intensity, brought that fire. And as a basketball player, I mean, that's all you can ask for. Obviously, it's never going to be a perfect basketball game, but I think one thing we can correct is turnovers. I had 6 of them myself. Trying to be aggressive in crowds, I got to watch film and see how I can be better at that. But, outside of the turnovers, I think both teams came out and played with championship-level intensity, and I think it's going to happen for the rest of the series.
Kevin, in the front here, John Dickinson, 95.7 The Game. How impactful was the hustle game today? Rebounding, defense, loose balls, things like that.
Yeah, they feed off of offensive rebounds. They had 3 of them. We out-rebounded them by 12, but like I said, the turnovers is really what kept them in the game. We had 20 of them to 24 assists, but our hustle game and getting to loose balls and being there for each other on the drives and just playing hard every possession. I think if we continue to do that and have that approach every night, I think we're in solid shape.
Third row, middle.
Yeah,
Kevin, Tony Harvey, Sacramento Observer. Well, late in the game, there was a point where the Warriors, you guys locked down Eric Gordon on a double team. He didn't get the shot off. He turned it over. And then in the next sequence, you prevented Clint Capella from getting the dunk, tied him up, and got the jump ball. Could you talk a little bit about the defense late in the game?
I think this team is so explosive on the offensive side of the ball that each time down we got to be talking to each other. We got to communicate and let guys know where the help is coming from, and we got to finish each possession with a rebound. So whatever happens in the possession, I think we got guys that can do multiple things. Andre, who tied up Capella, I think somebody tied him up, Draymond maybe, but just being in the right spot is the reason why that happened. And contested shots and like I said, boxing out and seeing where our men are coming from on the perimeter, because they get a lot of long rebounds off the 3-pointers that they shoot. So next game we got to be prepared to box out even better and rebound even more.
Second row, left-hand side.
Kevin, Janie McCauley from AP. How much did those two technicals late in the third kind of give you guys some momentum going into the final quarter? And also to see Clay come out there and warm up and play on a pretty sore ankle, what did that do for you guys?
I never doubted Clay was going to play. He has that toughness that he does that in the regular season, and so I knew at this time of year he would tough it out. Hopefully this early start give him a lot of time to kind of recover a little bit. What was the first question? Oh yeah, I don't think that gave us any momentum. I think if anything that definitely lit a fire under their group, and they ramped up their intensity after that as well. So I think both teams not worried about letting the refs get involved or letting anybody else get involved in the game. We're gonna play this ourselves, and I think that's the beauty of having us two teams on the floor.
First row, right-hand side.
Anthony Slater with the Athletic. There's a lot of noise coming out of Houston. They felt like they got fouled on a lot of the threes tonight. What's the challenge of defending them? Under them at times?
I think James is really good at getting a nice step back, getting some space, and so I think our guys tonight did a solid job of not lunging towards them. Just getting a hand on the contest, and it's not on. We try not to focus on what the refs are gonna call, and but we know that's what James does is he gives you a nice little move, gives you some space. He gets some space, creates space for himself, and then knock that and shoot that three. So we got to contest a shot without fouling.
Kevin, Mark Berman from Fox Houston. Clint says he has to look at the tape, but what did you guys do differently maybe this game that limited his effectiveness on both ends?
I think we ran back on defense a lot when he was in the game because he's such a good runner, and he gets a lot of transition buckets from off turnovers. And I think on their live game, we tried not to come off of him too much, but be there on the drives as well. So we got our work cut out for us because we know he's going to come back and try to put us impose his will in the game, and we got to step up another notch as well.
One last one here.
Marcus Thompson from the Athletic. Katie, when Clay is out there and you guys are switching on the perimeter, and he's got like a bulky ankle, like how tough is it for him to do what he does, even if he's got like an okay wheel?
I don't think Clay is. He's only focused on what's in front of him at the time, and if I can get inside his head right now, he probably wasn't even thinking about his ankle. He just tried to play his hardest for the team, and we definitely appreciate Clay for that because ankle that twist was pretty bad, but he came out and played with great focus all night.
Great, thank you.
Well, you heard Kevin Durant say it. I think I'm starting